Not one of them, not one that's any good. Not one!
Oh, man.
Sympathetic bastards.
Next story.
ChicagoTribune.com. Boeing Chairman Brandishes whip at CEO in contentious board meeting. Kate Wexler.
4 to 5 minutes.
In an extraordinary scene at Boeing's headquarters yesterday, Board Chairman Stephen M. Mollenkopf reportedly brandished a horsewhip during a contentious meeting as he expressed his deep dissatisfaction with new CEO Kelly Ortberg's handling of a recently announced labor strike. The strike, led by Boeing's Machinists Union, threatens to cause significant production delays, further compounding the aerospace giant's ongoing challenges.
The dramatic gesture came as Mollenkopf lambasted Ortberg for allowing worker dissatisfaction to fester, leading to the strike that has ground several key production lines to a halt. According to sources inside the meeting, Mollenkopf's frustration boiled over after seeing Ortberg's nonchalant report of the upcoming strike.
On top of everything else, Boeing can't afford production delays, Mollenkopf raged, according to a senior executive who was present but donned the cowl of anonymous coward to speak freely. This strike could cripple us when we're already struggling to right the ship after the Starliner fiasco and the lingering supply chain disruptions. If we need to use this to improve executive performance, he continued, brandishing a braided thong whip, I will attend to it personally.
The move stunned many in the room, some of whom reportedly looked on in disbelief as the chairman's anger over the company's deteriorating labor relations erupted into a physical display of dominance. Following the savage whipping of former CEO Dave Haystacks Calhoun, the threat of brutal corporal punishment during a high-level executive meeting clearly marks a sharp turn at Boeing.
Greg Inman, an aerospace analyst with MarketWatch, called the scene unprecedented and disturbing.
It's a thrilling development when the leadership of a multi-billion-dollar company resorts to such theatrics, Inman said. You'd have to go back to old Thomas J. Watson's merciless flogging of his executives in the 1940s to find something like this in the modern corporate era. Boeing is already under immense scrutiny following delays with the 737 MAX and Starliner programs. Now add labor unrest to the mix, and you have an extremely volatile situation. Mollenkopf's brandishing of the whip is symbolic of the old authoritarian corporate culture which, given Boeing's current fortunes, cannot be good for executive morale today.
Others, however, saw Mollenkopf's actions as a simple assertion of strong leadership amid chaos.
Look, Mollenkopf is facing pressure from large shareholders. The machinist strike is a massive problem for Boeing at a time when they simply can't afford any more missteps, said Amanda Stevens, a business reporter with the Wall Street Journal. While brandishing a whip is extreme and, frankly, medieval, it's clear he's trying to make a point about urgency and accountability, especially toward Ortberg, who's still relatively new in the role. I would assume Ortberg agreed to this form of discipline in his contract, otherwise threatening him with the whip technically would be a crime.
Stevens added, the timing of the strike is catastrophic for Boeing. They're still digging themselves out of the Starliner and 737 MAX delays, and now, production could grind to a halt. Mollenkopf's frustration isn't surprising, even if his methods are.
The strike, which began last week, involves thousands of machinists and assembly line workers at Boeing's commercial aircraft division. The union cited stagnant wages, increasing workloads, and concerns about workplace safety as key factors behind the walkout. Boeing's attempts to resolve the dispute through negotiations have thus far failed, with union leaders calling for more substantial changes to working conditions and pay scales.
For CEO Kelly Ortberg, who took the helm at Boeing a month ago, the strike represents the first major crisis of his tenure. Previously viewed as a steady hand during his time at the helm of Rockwell Collins, Ortberg has faced criticism for being slow to address the growing unrest within Boeing's workforce.
Mollenkopf's threatened use of the whip, while dramatic, is really a reflection of his dissatisfaction with Ortberg's leadership thus far, said Michael Porter, a business strategist with Forbes. Boeing has a long history of labor disputes, and the fact that Ortberg has allowed this situation to escalate to a full-scale strike is a huge red flag. Mollenkopf is clearly trying to send a message that there is no room for further errors.
Porter continued, the bigger question here is whether Ortberg can survive this. The CEO is the face of the company, and Boeing shareholders are watching this very closely. If the strike drags on or leads to significant production delays, there will be growing calls for another change in leadership. It could be the gallows instead of the whip next time.